What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Dance and Talks, the podcast released to you from a live story Amsterdam. Now, currently I'm in Sweden, but that doesn't mean I'm not recording interviews. Today, I have a very special guest. She is a world citizen, she lived in multiple countries, she is a multi-style dancer and has been teaching, battling, and performing, choreographing a lot of shows in different styles. I have the honor to interview nobody else than Natasha, aka Ivory.
What does this music feel like? What does this music look like? What does this music feel like? What does this music look like?
So, who is Natasha? She was born in New York City, but moved and lived with her parents in the countryside of Denmark. Growing up, she did not dance, but found dancing in the age around 18. She has been going to Flow Dance Academy in Copenhagen, moved to Argentina, lived and taught there for several years before moving into New York City, where she is currently based. Today we're going into Natasha's journey as a dancer, the different styles, but also moving from different places and what impact it has made for her dance. But before we get into it, you already know. Please click subscribe, give us a rating, comment below, and don't forget to share this with a friend. If you're new to this podcast, welcome to the tribe. And if you are a loyal listener, thank you so much. This means the world to me. We are here to spread more dancer stories out into the world, and your support is everything. So now, let's get it going. Welcome to this interview, Natasha.
Thank you.
Where in the world are you located right now?
I am in New York City.
New York City. How is it going for you guys? We are watching from afar.
Yes. Yeah, it's pretty intense. I'm not gonna lie. It's been 4 months now, I think we're coming up to, that we've basically been on lockdown. I think this week is when they started phase 3, maybe phase 4, regarding reopening the city. And, if you look at the numbers compared to all the other states in America, New York is doing pretty well. But yeah, it's still a mess. And I'm still inside, and, I don't really see when, as a dancer or a creator or in the arts, when we're gonna be close to getting back to a norm. So yeah, this has become my world.
Yeah, right. How big of a world we can have within 4 walls, basically.
Right, exactly.
Well, I feel like one of the reasons of why I really wanted to interview you was because I find you very interesting as a dancer. I find like you have a lot of different styles. You are not just a one style dancer. I don't see you as just a performer nor just a battler. And I kind of want to dig into that because I am that myself as well. But I basically remember meeting you in Denmark. And back then I was reading you as a breakdancer, as a B-girl.
Right.
And then going into house type of thing. But why don't you take me back to when it all started? Have you been dancing your entire life? When did the hip hop culture made you fall in love?
Right.
Take me back to that time.
Yeah, so no, I definitely have not been dancing my whole life. I started actually really late. I started when I was 18, 19 years old. Because I grew up, I lived in different countries growing up, and, my parents are British and Danish, but, I was born in the States. That's why I'm still here. And I lived many different places growing up, but we ended up in the far countryside in Denmark, in a little small town farms, fields, that's it. So dance-wise, nothing, you know, was around me. And we didn't even have, like, my parents didn't allow cable. Like, we didn't have any TV regarding, like, MTV or anything that would, you know, inspire me or motivate me to really get into it. All I knew was that I just was in love with many different genres, music-wise. I love to move. But I guess I just, even through high school, I always had it in the back of my head. I was like, I really want to dance. I really want to, you know, that's what I really inspired to be. But there was no classes out there. And the older I got, I just kept having that thought of being, I'm too old. I'm like, I should have started when I was 3. There's no way, you know, I can start a career as a dancer at 18 when I'm done with high school. And like, just, you know, that mentality, I guess that typical like Yandelo Danish mentality of being like, once you hit that 20, 25, you're old, you know, like, so yeah, I ran into a friend in high school when I was like 17 who who went to classes once a week in Halu, which was Galboot dance. Not sure if you heard of it.
Yeah, it's a contemporary place in Copenhagen, right?
Yeah, exactly. They had like hip hop classes with a guy called Tazen. And I was like, all right, I'll go with you. And it's so funny because I remember the choreography. I remember the dance. Like, it was Justin Timberlake. Like, it was just one of those moments where you just like, oh, like, this is where I'm supposed to be. Like, I remember everything about that first class, the first choreography, the feeling, the people that were there. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I just knew that this was just a different feeling I had never felt before. So I started going there once a week, took 2 hip hop classes every week. And when I finished high school, I was like, all right, I don't really know what to do because, again, there's nothing really out here, and I need to explore this more. So I went to a school in Ringkøbing, so on the other side of Denmark, in Jylland, like far out, which was like a art school. So we would do theater, dance. We went to Cuba for 4 weeks, just learning about the culture and the arts out there. And poetry and painting and create. So it was just like 6 months of just full living 24 hours a day at this school with all these different people, all ages. And yeah, just exploring your talents in every aspect of it. So definitely the trip to Cuba made a huge impact on me, just dance wise, and just watching all these like beautiful dances. We took classes learning like the different Afro-Cuban dances and the different god dances that, you know, they dance out there, and obviously salsa and rumba and like everything, you know. So that really transformed my mind about, okay, age wise, there's no limit, because I was seeing women in their 60s slaying the young boys that were out there, you know, like, so I was just like, if you can dance like that at 60, why am I holding myself back, you know?
Yeah.
So that really helped me, push me in the direction of being like, all right, I need to at least give myself 2-3 years where I try it out. If it doesn't work out, fine, you tried it out, there's no regrets. But who knows, you know, like I had to give it a shot. So one of the girls I went to that school with, she knew about Flow Dance Academy. So she was the one that actually hooked me up with applying to Kenneth and applying to Flow Dance at that point. And I got in. So as soon as I got back to Copenhagen, I started the 1 year, 10-month, whatever it is, education at Flow. And our season, which also was with Nelly and Daniel and like all these amazing dancers that are still out here, we were just so lucky. Like we had pretty much the whole season only foreign teachers, and they were living in the country at the time. So, you know, we had Kamari, we had Steve, we had Saj, we had Shannon Whichway, we had, you know, Ken Swift would come by with Loose and like teach workshops, like all these, like Mr. Wiggles, like all my first introductions to all these different styles were from the OGs,
Yeah.
more or less. So it's like I had a very strong introduction to each style because I learned from most of the styles. I learned from the creators or someone who's in right underneath the OGs and really, you know, represent the culture hard. So
Wow.
yeah, we were very lucky that season.
Yeah. Who would have known what was going to happen from the countryside girl getting strong foundation introduction, and
Right.
like it must have been quite of a journey. You do speak Spanish, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so did you learn that in Cuba?
No, so as soon as I finished Flow, I was like, all right, I wanna travel a bit. You know, my dad had brought me to Argentina for a month during that period through his work. So I spent a month out there, and I just fell in love with, you know, the culture out there and the people and just the whole vibe of Argentina. And I was like, yes, this is me. So when I was finished with Flow, I saved up for like 6 months, and then I was supposed to be there for 5 months, I think, because I found this program where I could like go and take classes, contemporary classes, ballet classes, classes that I wasn't really too fond of at the time. But I was like, I need to learn some kind of structure, and I need to learn some fundamental movement that can strengthen, you know, the house and the hip hop or whatever I was into at the time. And I was like, I should do it in Argentina, because at least then I'll be in beautiful surroundings. I could go around and kind of feel like I'm on vacation, and, you know, but still learn from some very talented people. So I did that for 5 months, and it also included, you know, learning Spanish at the university for 2 months, just, you know, the basic as a tourist. But of course, within like 2 months, you know, I met a guy.
It's
You
the
know,
story, the typical story.
here
Yeah.
comes the love story. And yeah, like I met him, and he was a b-boy, or is a b-boy, and I met him at like one of the biggest clubs that are in Buenos Aires at the time. And first of all, this hip hop club, they apparently had like this opening of the night where all the b-boys or b-girls, they would come together and do like an opening show, a cypher where they would just go off and like open the club up, and it would, you know, just be like, okay, club has officially started with the show, and like, let's dance. I didn't know it was a show. I thought it was like just an open cypher. So one of the first times I was there, after they were just going in and in and in, and I was only seeing guys, so I was like, all right. So I just jumped in and didn't realize that, you know, it was actually a show.
Oh my God. And they were like, who is this
Who is this white
girl?
girl jumping into the cypher whilst we're doing a show? I mean, it wasn't like they weren't doing choreo or anything, but it was like they were just doing rounds. So I thought, you know, and I jumped in because they were playing funk music. So I jumped in doing, you know, Waacking, and yeah, and they really didn't know what Waacking was. Like a lot of them thought it was like a more feminine version of locking, or like, you know, like they just didn't know what that was all about. So, yeah, that's kind of how I introduced myself to the scene out there.
Right, and there, from that on, you were known as the girl.
Yeah, no, like a lot of people came up to me afterwards, and then like the OGs out there, they like just came to me right away and was like, what were you doing, and what is that? And, you know, and then very quickly I just created so many friends and just got into the hip hop scene out there so heavy. And there was I wouldn't say it was a strong scene regarding house, but there was like 5, 6 guys that constantly were just out in the parks training every day, just doing house, house, house. And again, at this point, this is 10 years ago, so none of them had anyone visit Argentina at the time. Like no one had
Right.
visited regarding being an OG in any of the styles. Like
Right.
everything was through tapes or videos or YouTube at the time. So for me, coming out there as a foreigner, knowing how to dance, again, I had only danced for a year, so it wasn't like I knew a lot, but I had a lot of fundamental movement, so, and learned from a lot of OGs, so I could share that knowledge that I had been taught. So yeah, I just started hanging out with them, and I met my ex-boyfriend, and he was a b-boy, so I got heavy into the b-boy scene because I was just with him all the time and going to his practices with his crew, and they were a very strong crew at the time. They were like one of the best ones at the time. So yeah, I was just introduced to a very raw scene where it was like developing. I kind of felt like this was maybe what it would have looked like in the 80s or 90s in New
Yeah.
York, but
Yeah.
just now in the 2000s in Argentina, it was like they were like that step behind, but they were going through the same process of
Yeah.
like picking up information from where they could and just being so raw with it and just being in the streets all day and just training and having battles in the streets or in these random shut down gyms or like it was just such a beautiful and raw experience. So I stayed there more or less for 3 years.
I was about to say it was gonna be 5 months, but it turned into way
Yeah, back
longer.
and forth combined, it became nearly 3 years.
And now comes the crazy part,
Yeah,
because of that, the same
yeah,
guy
yeah,
you brought to Denmark
yeah,
and that became my classmate.
yes,
So when I visit Argentina, I was introduced to the same clique of people because of
yeah.
you,
It's
because
so
of
crazy,
Gabriel. Yeah.
right?
And my father used to dance Argentinian tango, so he
Wow,
brought me to Buenos Aires because he wanted me to see his passion,
right.
his love. And I would be there a couple nights, and I was like, Dad, so I have my classmate here, like my previous classmate. I'm just gonna go with him.
Right.
And I
Check out
completely
the
agree. Like the warmth, the welcoming, the rawness, the very like I just ended up also in a house class with a guy, can't remember his name now, but he was playing a didgeridoo in the end of the class. Amazing. Very
yeah,
raw. Yeah. So,
amazing.
so thank you for that, because I had a great experience in Argentina thanks to
Yeah,
you.
no, it's so crazy how it just becomes like a full circle. Like
Mm,
that's
for
amazing.
sure. For
Yeah.
sure. And so when I met you, you obviously lived in Denmark. I saw you a lot in battles, and yeah, I guess you became a B girl somewhere along the way as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. It's just, I've had such a funny, weird journey regarding my dance. Like, it's
Right.
so weird. Like, yeah, I get, like, I never really called myself a B-girl because it was just for fun, Like, I just loved it so much, and I was just introduced to it in a very pure way, and, like, there was no, like, I think I never went into, like, a battle regarding B-girling. Like the closest I got to it, I would be like top rocking and like doing, you know, the dance of it, I guess, when I came to New York. But yeah, no, when I got to New York, B-girling was definitely the one thing I was really heavy in the first year and a half. I even I even went to the Bronx a lot to just train, and then I ran into Alien Ness, and he basically brought me to the Bronx house. And I remember it was like, again, being a very naive, just European girl here to dance, like not thinking about what I'm actually stepping into, which is a good thing because if I had thought too much about it, I probably wouldn't have gone. But just crazy experiences regarding being invited to the Bronx house from Alien Ness, and then the doorman just standing staring at me like, who the hell are you and what the fuck, sorry, what the hell are you doing here? And I was like, I'm here to take a workshop with B-Boy Casper and Alien that's invited me. And when I got downstairs, you know, they're all rockers. It's like looking at like a bar and just like concrete, and then B-Boy Casper's there with like only 10 people invited to take this one-on-one workshop with one of the best B-boys in the world. And it's just so wild. And I remember one of the guys saying like, you're the first white chick that's ever been here. Like, I've never seen any white girls out here. Like, oh, okay. Like, it's stuff like that that I didn't think about until later on, how big of a thing I was actually doing. And started hitting on the trains to make money with some of the B-boys.
Oh, you did street shows?
We did street shows. I was hitting on Union Square like every day or every afternoon.
Union Square.
Started hitting on the 1 and 2 trains uptown every afternoon to make money with one of my friends, TJ. Didn't do all the crazy flips on the trains. I was just dancing, but yeah, I did that for like nearly a year, where I was just, because I originally came here going into the Perry Dance, you know, program. That's a 2-year program, but you know, I've had a lot of crazy challenges here. After 6 months living here, the apartment I had finally signed a lease on burned down. I had been there for a month and I lost everything, which also meant money-wise, because now I had to find a completely new place to live and like didn't know what was happening. So that was also why I started hitting, because I was like, I need money, and I had to leave the Perry Dance program because I couldn't pay it anymore. And
yeah, because I was about to say, like, compared to a lot of other European dancers that I know, you're not on an artist visa because you were born in the States.
So I was
you actually
born, like right here on 14th Street. So I was like, I have citizenship here. So the reason I took Perry Dance was because I was like, after living in Argentina for so long and then a year in Denmark where I was basically working, I wasn't really dancing at the time. I was just like, I just want to be back in class. I just want to learn. I just want to connect with people. I don't know anyone in New York, so I don't have family out here. I'm not blood related here. I was just born here. So I didn't know anyone. So I was like, let me just take a program where I can just go back to basics, learn, get back into class, and just, you know, learn. So that's why I did the Perry Dance. But yeah, I was only there for like 6 months because then the apartment happened and I ended up living at one of my friends. She took me in with my 2 roommates living on her apartment floor. Mickey and Hurricane and Mike, they were all living together up in Harlem. So we stayed on their floor for like a month until we could find an apartment. And during that time, you know, I was like, either it's babysitting or it's, you know, hitting on the trains. And I just didn't have energy for babies at the time. So I went into hitting, and yeah, that definitely helped me develop too.
Have you, like, since you moved back or moved there, like, permanently, have you ever, like, been in a situation where you had to just move back to Denmark just out of financial reasons? As a dancer, it's...
No, you know. I've definitely, like, my parents have definitely once in a while helped me out regarding if I was like, okay, my checks are not coming in, because that's another thing. Getting used to, like, being paid through checks. It's a whole nother ball game. And it's like, you really don't realize how you really got to plan out how you spend your money in the beginning if you're not used to like checks just coming in when they come in, you know, or always being on top of it because they might be late and not give you any warning about it, or, you know, so it was just, the first couple of years was definitely challenging. And then I ended up having to babysit full time for nearly a full year just to like make sure I could like make money consistently. Found Danish couples, of course. I don't made me feel a little bit at home, you know. And that's okay money, that's good money, if you want like fast cash and you just want to like make sure you get the income you need. But it's so draining and you put so much energy into these kids all day that by the time you're done, you might have a nice paycheck, but you're like, I don't have any energy to go and take class or train, or like I'm exhausted, like I just put all my energy into like 2, 3 kids.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No.
silent.
But like, what was your goal when you went there? You started to do the street shows. Was it then like, oh, I just want to battle as much as possible, or I just want to do performances, or actually I would like to get some classes, or how did
Right.
that develop?
Yeah, so it's funny because I don't think I really had a straight vision at the point. I was just like, I'm just in love with like the parties, the clubs, the outdoor sessions, the going to Coney Island, and they put a huge sound system up. Sorry. They put up a huge sound system and you just dance with everyone, and all ages, all generations are together, and just feeling that impact of love through dance, like that took me, that was so powerful that I actually didn't really think about having a set goal at the time, which I maybe should have had. I just knew, I just went with what felt good at the time. So I would be at the club 4 or 5 times a week, not lying, I really would. And I was also 25, so a little younger, had more energy. But I was at the sessions. At that time, there were sessions nearly every night, so I would pretty much hit up every session that I could. Um, Siku, who I met through Perry Dance because he teaches there, Siku Hiro, he became my mentor. So I was training with him like twice a week, not more, taking these classes consistently. Um, so he definitely has been one of the biggest influences on me regarding in the house scene for sure. Because yeah, I mean, he still is like my mentor, but like I was, training heavy with him at the time. Um, and yeah, I think once I really started getting a hang of how the city is run and people and what's going on in the dance scene, I was like, all right, I really love teaching. I really love, because I was teaching a lot in Argentina too. So I was just like, I really love sharing knowledge. So I started doing these $10 classes with one of my friends where we would bring out different OGs or different teachers to come out and actually give classes to people who maybe can't afford the $20 classes, or the $22 classes. So we did that for a while. We did sessions for people. Um, so I was definitely into just, because I did that in Denmark too, I think. I was doing the outside sessions the year that I was home. And I just really love creating events or gathering people together to do something that they love. So I tried to do that out here for a while. And yeah, I mean, New York hasn't been the nicest to me. So I was just, throughout the years, I've been challenged so many times, not dance wise, but just in general from like life. So it's always been like, once I got onto that wave and I was like, all right, I'm steady. I can like take the next step in my career. Something came and I was just like, all right, I gotta take a break. I gotta come back, refocus. Um, but yeah, Saku definitely was the one who was like, if you want to teach in New York, you got to do it the right way, because there's so many laws and everything,
That's
registration
politics,
regarding
yeah.
how you can teach in New York. Because I was teaching some classes and I got a lot of heat for it in the beginning, because they were like, "Who are you to come here teaching from Europe and not really having the foundation that you should have to be teaching?" And they were right. So I was like, all right, I'll take a step back. I respect that. Like, I'm not here to step on anybody's toes. I just felt like I do have something to give. Might not be where you're at, but I do have something to share. But I did step back, and I think because I did respect what they were telling me, that they then opened the doors for me. So, you know, they were like, all right, we're going to start putting you as the sub person for our classes. Suku was obviously the main person, but because he then took me under his wing, I then became part of Dance Fusion family. So, you know, Tony McGregor, um, let's say Capella Belief, you know, they really started looking at me in a different light and really putting me on different projects, or, you know, just teaching for them if they were out traveling or couldn't teach. Kim Holmes put me down at A-League. So it was just like, through that, I was like, all right, you know, that this is the way. And then also just showing up in classes so their students get to know me. So who was always bringing me up in the front, even if I didn't know what the hell I was doing. He was like, you better come up front so they know who you are. You know, like he would always call me out and put me in the spot, which was amazing, you know, like, so I'm always grateful for what they did to pave the path for me regarding teaching wise and like getting my name more out there. And then one thing I did know was when I moved here was I just want to choreograph. I just want to do shows. Like I didn't know how, I didn't know what to do. I just knew that's what I wanted to do. And Buddha Ray was the first one to like put me on the stage and give me that spotlight and really introduce me to that scene. Um, so it's just like, because I've been through so many different dance cultures in New York throughout my whole journey, like I went from the b-boy scene into the hip hop scene, into getting heavy into the dance hall scene, to then getting heavy into, obviously through that whole journey, I was heavy in the house scene already, but then going into the Afro scene. So it's just like, I can see each year how I've developed myself as a person and what it took me to. It was like, once I've learned this significantly enough for myself, I was like, all right, it's time to push myself in a different area. And I would just randomly run into people. It wasn't like I would go and seek it. I would just run into people who I just vibe with and click with, and they would bring me to a party or they would bring me to an event or a class. And I'll just be like, wow, like this really speaks to me. And I just continue, you know, like.
And I think that that is so interesting because I can definitely feel myself in that. Like there are so many styles out there, and it's different from falling in love with a style and falling in love with dance, you know, in
Right.
general, and whatever that may take you. I mean, there's salsa, there's couple dancing too, there's like so much more. So what would you say have been your consistency throughout this? What is something you kept that is like continuously Natasha, even through all these styles?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's got to be house. Like, I think that's the only thing that really I just kept coming back to house. And it was also, the reason I really loved house was because it's such a fusion of so many styles. Like, you really get to know a person, what their background is, what they've been through, if you see them releasing at the club, at house, because it could be a contemporary dancer, a ballet dancer, it could be an Afro dancer. Like, if once the house music, like, it plays, they start adapting or bringing in whatever they've had in their past, technique, whatever it might be, and it comes out through that dance or through the music. And I think every time I had a little like section where I was just focusing on another style, I'll come back to house and I'll be like, wow, my style has just developed to another level because now I'm bringing in this on top, like another layer to what I already knew regarding house. So yeah, I mean, house has just been my love from day one.
Yeah. And like personally, like if you think about Natasha as a person, who do you see a difference from Natasha before the States and Natasha after?
I am not the same person.
What do you think has changed? What has been like the major change? Because New York is challenging, no matter who's living there, born and raised, moved in there, like it is something with the city. So, what do you think has made the biggest impact on you as a person?
I think it's just, we all go through so many challenges in life. And it was like I've been here 7 years now. Within 7 years, I've been told that what I've experienced in 7 years regarding like just trauma or, you know, incidents or whatever it might have been, they're like, that's what you've experienced in 7 years is more or less what a person would have lived throughout their whole life. Like,
Mm.
it's been every year, there's just been something, a layer, a layer, a layer, a layer. And dealing with that without your family close by and not really knowing where to turn when it comes to trust or who you can rely on, because a lot of people out here, they talk a lot, and then when it really comes down to it, they just don't show up. And it's
Mm.
not their fault, it's just how New York runs. It's like everyone is dealing with so much baggage out here, and it's such a raw city and it's such a city of hustle and movement and constant like action that it's like you can't even hold it against them. It comes down to you making sure you don't rely on someone or you don't put your energy into something that didn't really deserve it.
Mm.
So I think for me, it has definitely been the biggest lesson regarding me as a person, how to survive out here was just make sure whatever you do that you're good first and you know who to contact if you need support or if you need help and really can trust, and it's really taking me these past 7 years to really find that inner circle that is like, okay, these are the people that I can always count on or call or be, if I need to put whatever in the back of my head, just go out dancing or just listen to good music and be in good vibes. I know who to call, and
Mm.
but it's nearly taken me these 7 years to really find that like core of people, um, which I think is normal if you move to a new city. Like it takes time to find people that you really can, trust
Yeah.
and rely on. Um, but yeah, no, I've been through a lot these past 7 years. I'm not gonna lie, but it's a journey, and I'm grateful, and I can see how it has made me a more focused person, a more clear in my vision, know what I need to train on, what I'm comfortable in, um, stand up for myself, make sure my voice is heard, not be the introvert that I am when it comes to business,
Mm.
um, and just being very clear on what I accept and what I don't accept, like it really makes you, it breaks you or you make it, like.
For sure, for sure. And like, I mean, I think setbacks and struggles and stops and obstacles is like a really big part of being an artist and being a creative business owner, whatever it is. And I love stories. Do you maybe have like one example of a setback that really taught you something?
Um, yeah, I don't share this with a lot of people, but I'll share it with you guys.
In the world. Yeah.
Well, I definitely had a personal relationship that lasted 2 years that turned into a very, very toxic relationship. And it definitely threw me off, especially because this person is in the dance scene. So it took me a huge setback regarding myself and regarding, where I fit in this city or in this world anymore, and just not feeling comfortable being in the dance scene anymore because it really threw me off, and this person would be everywhere. So it wasn't like I could just go and release, because now my sacred place had become
Mm.
where I now didn't feel comfortable anymore.
Yeah.
So that was a huge hit for me regarding myself, also just being okay, you should have been smarter. Don't date someone in the scene in case, it goes left. But
Yeah.
it's love. You can't do anything about it. Like
No, no,
when
that's
it
true.
comes down to it, you just go with what feels good at the moment. And um, but yeah, that was 2 years that were really, really rough. And then recovering from it these past 2 years has been even rougher. Um, but it has made me really get to know myself because I was able to step back and step away from everything that usually would just like stimulate me and just keep me going and kind of ignore if I had anything internally going on. I'll just go to the club and dance for 6 hours straight, which was amazing. I would release and I would be empowered and I'll come out feeling, okay, I've been reborn, I'm new. But I really didn't do any internal work and I didn't really go to the core of the problem of why I even was feeling that way.
Mm.
So this has definitely these past 2 years where I've kind of like stepped away. I also I decided to go back to school. So I did online. I got my bachelor's degree in sports management online. So that also helped me just like, all right, let me use my brain differently a little bit for a while and like still be in the genre, but focus on something different. That definitely helped me too. But yeah, it was just being able to, actually slow down, step back, and actually give yourself the space to reflect on, okay, why are you here? Why are you feeling this? You made a choice to live on the other side of the world, sacrifice the fact that you're not going to be able to see your family every day and your friends every day. So make sure you're not just throwing it away for party and dance and just having a good time. Like, why are you actually here? You know, what is it you really want to accomplish? And what is holding you back? And most of the time, it's your own fear, it's your own struggle for, self-acceptance or self-love or whatever you might be dealing with internally that ends up being the thing that holds you back. And that has been my biggest struggle these past couple of years is getting that self-confidence and that self-love back to realize, oh, I am amazing, I am powerful, I do have something different to bring to the table, and I do deserve it. So I think, and I think Corona also has done that now to a lot of people where everyone, okay, now we're forced to really
Exactly.
sit back and realize, why am I here? Like really ponder about like, what is my journey? What is my purpose in life? Um, but no, and it's funny. It's like if you ever take a break from dance, you think you're gonna go backwards, and you think you're like gonna come back weaker, or like. But I feel like usually it's the opposite. I feel usually you come back doing things you didn't even know you could do. Like your body physically didn't know your body could do that, and I think it's because you gave yourself the time to live a little. Like you now have a different story to tell instead of it just being muscle memory that keeps kicking in. Like you have given yourself time to really reflect or work or whatever it might be that you took the time off to do, but now you come back and you have something different to put on the table and tell. So um I think that definitely helped me,
Yeah.
step back and
Did you come back with like a different why? Like, was your why I'm doing this? Was it different after that period? And what was the difference?
yeah, I think before I was just focusing on, getting my my what's it called, my rent paid and like just surviving basically. I was just like, let me just teach because I had finally gotten out of babysitting and everything else that would have to do with non-dance. Like I was fully living off dance, but it was still like a 9 to 5 job. Like I was teaching dance, but with kids. So it was still feeling very like heavy and not even close to what I wanted to do as a career. So um, yeah, I definitely was like the same thing that I did when I decided to jump out of the babysitting, where I was like, I don't technically have anything else to jump into, but if I don't just leave it, I'm never going to get out of it. So it was the same mindset that kind of kicked in. It was like, if I don't just leave it, I'm just going to stay stuck in this forever. Like, I need to challenge myself to be pressured to understand, okay, you got rent next month, you got to figure out how to make this money somehow. Even if it goes back to hitting on the trains, that's still better because I'm still giving something to myself instead of, constantly giving to or giving an energy in a place that, I can do better for myself. So yeah, I came back and I was like, all right, I need to make a plan. I need to know if I really want to be a choreographer, like serious choreographer. I need to do the research. I need to make sure that I know who to take classes from. I need to make sure that I show up. I need to be seen. I need to make sure that I do the training regarding house. If I really want to be serious in being, teaching and expanding that teaching. Um, and I've always been a person that takes that very serious. I don't like to not know what I'm teaching. So that also just helped me motivate myself. If I get a set class, I'm going to make sure I do my research more. So because now I'm on a platform and I can't represent the culture wrong. I'm still also because I didn't grow up in this culture. I'm a guest in this culture, so it's really important to me that, maybe I do a little extra because again, like, this is something that I didn't grow up in, but I heavily love and respect and want to represent properly. So I think my why was just like, you really got to, go for it.
Go for it for real.
Yeah,
And what
like, no more holding back, no more BS, no more excuses. Just, one day at a time. It's not going to happen overnight, but, just do it.
Yeah. And when you're looking back now at these years, do you have like a moment where you feel like, yeah, that was a proud moment. This is why I do it. That was a moment where I knew I can be proud of myself.
I think it was like the most random, like I didn't even expect this to happen. It came out of nowhere. But I was taking classes with one of my friends who's from South Africa, and he was visiting New York, and I was taking his classes. And obviously, everything's filmed in New York, and like, so they filmed the class, and I'm messing up throughout the choreography, but I'm laughing it off, and still, doing my thing. And Sherry Silver, I don't know if you know her.
Yeah, the Afro dancer. Yeah.
Yes, she saw that video and DM'd me out of nowhere and was like, I would like to book you for a show that's in the Lincoln Center in April. Um, this was last year. And first I thought it was a prank. I'm like, what? Excuse me? Not sure. um, yeah, and she was doing the opening for Women in the World, which is like one of the which is one of the biggest 3-day conventions that exist out here, where it's basically spotlighting women who lives in different countries that are struggling with even having rights to, do what they want to do, or even drive a car, or, all these situations that happen around the world that, puts women in danger, or, just are not equal. And going through what I had just gone through, I was like, whew, that's a lot to take in, because like, not only am I going to be dancing at Lincoln Center, but I'm going to be dancing with one of the biggest choreographers, and it's going to represent something powerful that I feel like I had just been through as a journey as a woman, with finding her own inner strength. And Oprah was there. Like, it was just such an amazing experience. And it just really, like, I've never felt so, I thought I was going to be dead nervous getting on stage. But once I got on stage, I was just like, I just felt so comfortable. It was live streamed through YouTube. Like, my parents could watch me live while I was performing it. And I just felt so comfortable. Like I've never felt this comfortable. And Afro isn't even, my style like that. Like I'm still very new to that style. And I was also the only, because she wanted obviously different cultures, representing the style. So there was one that was Latina, and then, um, two Afro American, and then herself, and then me, So we were like mixed races, showing, how we all appreciate the style and culture. So it was very strong, and it was also an emotional piece. But whew, yeah, that was such a beautiful experience, and I'm just really grateful. And it was just funny how that it kind of was like, oh, this is like the end of it, like not the end of it, but this was just closure, final closure of you are where you're supposed to be and you deserve it, and we're all powerful together.
Isn't it funny how like sometimes the most random things can feel suddenly so natural because the cause of it
Right,
is completely right.
right,
I
yeah,
mean,
no,
yeah, I
for
feel
sure.
like once you have those experiences, you don't want to go back. You don't want to go
Right,
back. Like I think like you can do performances for whatever. As dancers, we love to be on stage. We love to express, to show. But once you start expressing things that you really think matters, you're just like, I don't want to go back. I don't
right.
want to. Yeah.
No, exactly. And that really also just put like fire underneath myself, where I was like, all right, now I've experienced this. And then she also booked me for Hunters, the Amazon TV show with Al Pacino, the following month.
Oh
So I'm
wow.
in one of the scenes in that TV show. And again, just being on set all day, dancing all day, my legs were done. But it was the most amazing feeling ever. And it just like, the more you have of those experiences, you're like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm meant to. And I had forgotten it because I had kind of separated myself from the scene for so many years, also because I was in school the following 2 years, so I couldn't really be 100% in the dance scene. So it was nearly 3, 4 years that I didn't really go heavy in the dance scene. So coming back into it in that way, I was like, all right, time to get busy, time to take yourself serious. Just
Yeah.
go for it.
So, have you, throughout your years in New York, have you been a part of a crew or have you always just been like a freelancing solo?
Yeah, so never been part of a crew like that. I mean, the b-boy scene, there was a crew that was training me when I first got here called TBD, the Bronx Boys. I was training with them a lot when I first got here. They even like took me to a battle in Atlanta. Like we drove to Atlanta and did loose screws out there, and like so I was like heavy in that crew, and I met like the founders of the crew, and was kicking it with them a lot. But then I kind of separated that. Then I went heavy into the dance hall scene. I never was in a crew like that. I've been in companies, like um, 4 years ago, I auditioned for a step company. So, which was a touring step company, Soul Steps. And I got in. So the past 4 years I've been touring as a stepper, which is also crazy that I then got into all this and learning that whole culture, which does not exist in Scandinavia, like it was so new to me. So that was also amazing, learning how to create beats with your body and then being synchronized with like 12 other people. Like that took such a long time for me to learn. So it's like I can dance, but this is some other stuff. Like I'm not used to this. Um, but that has also like so I've been with them for 4 years, just touring with them every season. We go to colleges, to schools, to campuses, and just give like an hour performance of and also breaking it down like doing gumbo dance, like just really showing the traditional dance and how it went into the colleges and sororities and fraternities, and just having like an educational show. So that has also just been a huge blessing, because that has probably been the main reason for me over the past years to be consistent with dance, because it was literally paying my rent, you know, like, because we were just on the road constantly doing shows. Um, yeah, I've been in a few companies. I think Dance Fusion is probably, but it's not, you know, it's Dance Fusion, so I wouldn't consider it being a crew. Like,
For
they're the crew. And
for people who don't know what dance fusion is, can you just describe it a little bit?
yeah, so Dance Fusion is one of the first crews here in New York that really got together as a crew. But, you know, if you watch Waacking YouTube it. No, they are the founders regarding it being a crew, I would say. Not the founders in house dance, but you know, they're definitely the OGs in house dance. Saku, Kelly, Marjorie Smart, Tony McGregor, who am I missing? Ijo, I'm missing a lot of people. Kiro from Japan. No, but like this is, you know, they are the ones who really just brought it as taking it from the club scene with Mop Top, bringing it more into a commercial scene regarding going on tours and performing for artists and creating choreographies. And I think Marjorie was the first one to actually teach, like, Buddha Ray was definitely the first one to teach classes. But I think Marjorie Smart was the first one to really teach a fairy dance, bringing house to, you know, an actual class instead of it just constantly being in the club. Who then brought Siku onto this into the classroom too, and he started teaching there. But yeah, I mean, they're basically just, you know, what for me, if I think of house, oh sorry, I forgot Shannon Ridgway, who was my first teacher. Sorry,
It's a
Shannon.
lot. It's a lot of OGs.
It's a lot of them. But yeah, no, they're the people who, you know, took it from the club and just created a lifestyle out of it, not even knowing that that's what they were going to create. But, you know, they were the ones that were there from the beginning, went through the whole era of lofting, you know, hustling, dancing at the club, doing it as a release, as a party dance, as, you know, something to get away from what they were going through everyday struggles. And yeah.
So, I mean, it's crazy because now we have been talking about, you know, okay, so again, we're talking about hip hop, breaking, whacking, dance hall, house, stepping. You probably know salsa really well as well, hustling, and like you have so many styles. I feel like you are such an all-around dancer, and like the corona is now again stopping us and, you know, making us think about why we're doing certain things. So do you feel like you have another new why now? Like when you can go back to it, what is it that you want to go back to? What is it that you want to create, focus, express?
So my main focus from day one, where Ruler Ray gave me that stage, that platform when I first moved here, was I realized that there's a lot of choreography and shows going on in New York, and there's a lot of performances, but regarding the house scene, I don't see that on the stage, especially if you want to bring the club feeling to a stage. This is very difficult, but it's always been my mission regarding whenever I've presented pieces or done performances, it has been, I want to show the love that I have for house, what we do at a club, and bring it to a stage where it's very commercialized, to introduce it to a lot of people who may not even know that there's this scene that's going on. And I think more than ever now, I've like these past months where I've been isolated, like I spent a lot of time on making up for not lost time, but just time that you never really find on a regular basis. Really do the extra research and really dig deep in history and going back to the jazz era, going back to the 1920s and really doing my research. How did house really come about? You know, like really making sure I know what I'm talking about and really also helping myself find new sides of this dance that I can use when I want to present it. Um, and just challenge myself constantly and you know.
Would it then be like a 1 hour dance production type of thing, or?
Yeah, so I've had that the past year. I've been trying to create this piece. So my struggle out here is whenever I love my dancers. I love everyone that I dance with. I'm so grateful whenever they put their time and energy into what I want to present. And it's just very hard for me to find people from the club scene that can do and present choreography.
Mm.
You know, it's like the energy is there when they bring it to the scene or to the stage. And people get hyped from our energy and are receiving it on a very different level. But the choreography is not clean. And it's like, I need to find a balance where I can present something that is strong and hard in choreography, but I want the feeling. So I'm always struggling with, do I pick people that are going to be nasty at presenting and performing the piece, but not really understanding because they don't come from the club scene? Or do I pick people from the club scene that know exactly what they're doing, what they're telling, and what I want out regarding my story, but are not as trained regarding presenting a piece?
Mm.
So that has always been a
Wow.
struggle for me. And I'm not going to say I'm the best person to present. You know, I still struggle sometimes with like, if I'm booked for another person in a choreography piece, like I can do it, but I mean, I make sure I do my homework at home so I don't come out looking crazy because that is not my strongest side, you know? So I know the work that I put into it, and when I'm the choreographer, that's what I struggle with regarding the house. So I
Mm.
usually mix a lot of different styles and mixes because, well, that's also me. I
Yeah.
mix a lot of different styles.
That's the thing, because you're an all-around dancer. Like, people can take you and put you in whatever piece and you will
Right,
make it work.
right,
And I mean, I think that at least I had to think 1 year at Flow for that as well. I was an all-around dancer
exactly.
before I got to Flow, but after being trained different hours, different styles for a whole year, you just making it work.
Right,
Um, but I mean, that is not the same situation, especially not with people that are out dancing in the clubs because of that particular style. So,
right, right.
right.
Yeah,
Um, Interesting. I think that all of this is very interesting and very relatable for a lot of dancers, because we're now sitting with all this time and we kind of want to know where we're going.
right.
I do have something called like end my sentences, which is basically I say the beginning of a sentence and you end it. It can be a word, an ending of a sentence out of your opinion, just Natasha, no judgment, just you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So if I say, for example, the best sandwich would be
That sandwich would be avocado toast.
avocado toast. Perfect. You got the game. Okay, here we go. More serious now.
All right.
I feel the most successful when.
Oh, when I truly have confidence in myself, no matter what I'm doing. It does, like, I might not be the best at it, but if I have the confidence, then I feel, you know, that's when I'm successful.
Mic drop out. Yes. Um, in my life, one of my biggest accomplishments is.
Is, I don't want to sound corny, but I think it's getting to know myself.
Yes, self-love. Yes,
It
self-worth.
it really changed my dance. Like it really changed how I look at things, how I receive things, and how to navigate myself in situations that I wouldn't have done before. So it helped me get out of that constant loop that I found myself.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. One thing that I missed most with quarantine is
Sharing energy with people.
sharing energy with
Sharing
people.
with people and sharing energy and just being inspired. It's very hard to find inspiration in your room when you've been here for 4 months.
When you feed off out of other people's energies,
Right.
especially, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that mirror is not giving back a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
If everyone in the world had to try one thing, it would be.
Ooh, try one thing. I think it would be, I mean, everyone's different, but I think it would be something you're scared of.
Ooh,
Like,
challenging yourself.
yeah, like, 'cause I know I have my fears and I still struggle with trying that, but I think it's such a crazy feeling once you overcome that fear because often it's just an illusion. It's not really that you think it is.
Yeah.
If everyone did that, they would probably open their horizon a little bit.
Yeah, getting out of your comfort zone a lot more.
And
Yeah. Okay. If I could pick one place in the world which I could transport myself to anytime, it would be
Croatia.
Croatia. Oh, wow. Okay. I was not expecting this one. Why Croatia?
No, I know. Well, that's just me wanting to be by a very peaceful and beautiful exterior, and just also because I was supposed to be there on Saturday. But
Oh, oh, it's okay, girl.
yeah,
I was supposed to be in Tanzania right now, but yeah,
yeah,
here we
yeah.
are.
I think, yeah, I just love Croatia. It's so beautiful.
One of the biggest lessons I have learned the last 12 months has been
And then slow down, slow down, and how important it is to have morning routines. That has definitely been a big change in how I pursue my day.
what is your morning routine, if I may ask?
So, well, now it's a little different because obviously I have the whole day ahead of me, but I still usually get up around 7:30 the latest, or wake up at least. I do 30 minutes meditation. I stretch. I read for like an hour. My phone is on airplane mode from the moment I wake up till at least minimum an hour. Usually I keep it, even when I'm reading for an hour, everything's off so I don't actually look at anything that can interact with my energy until at least maybe 10, 11 p.m. in the morning. Unless I know like I'm expecting something. I will quickly, but I'll still put on airplane afterwards. I have my affirmations. I read out, what I'm grateful for. I write down like 10 things I'm grateful for every morning. Um, I set my focus for, what I want the rest of the day to be. And usually till noon, like I have like from 7:30, 8 a.m. till noon. That's like my morning block at this moment because, but it's definitely something I want to keep going once we start back into the real world. But just starting your morning with no pressure, no weird, especially now with what's going on, and you're constantly getting so much negativity or real life experiences that are really happening, and it's very heavy to process, and you're stuck inside. You can't really do anything with that energy. It's really been a humbling and healing experience to have those 4 or 5 hours in the morning to really just center myself, know what I want to do with my day, or use 2 hours to, work on whatever project I have going on. I intermittent fast, so I don't eat until noon, which also has helped me a lot regarding just, again, focus and clarity, sleeping better at night, and having more energy. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's really.
And I kid you not, my last question was 3 things that people should say to themselves in the morning.
Yes. Well, I guess number one, it would be like, what is your main goal? Because whatever your main goal is, you should already affirm that that is happening. So I would highly recommend that whatever your main goal is already, like if it's to be a millionaire, or if it's to be the biggest choreographer in the world, or the best battler, or whatever, like affirm that every morning. So again, your body and your mind, and it's in you, like but I do I usually, one of the 10 things I write down is, I'm grateful for love, I'm grateful for my family and friends, I'm grateful for my journey, I'm grateful for my abundance. Um, I'm grateful for, myself, my body, who I am, and, um, you know, just stuff like that. Just constantly
Yeah.
affirming who you are. Like I've even, because it's you kind of can't really avoid not going through some sort of depression during this time. Like everyone's going through, it goes up and down, no matter who you are. And I think it's really important that sometimes you forget who you are because of society, or because of your circumstances, or because of what is happening around you that technically has nothing to do with you because you can't control it. It's happening around you, but it affects you. And it has really been empowering for me to write down, to remind myself, who am I? What have I accomplished? What have I already set myself up for regarding winning in life? And like, just reminding myself, oh, you are that person. You are supposed to be an impactful person in this world, and what you're doing is amazing. And just because the outside world is crazy at the moment does not mean that does not reflect on who you are as a person, what you can give, hopefully, positivity to the world, like, so. And it's okay to have bad days. We all have them. But it's good to have those reminders on those bad days.
For sure. For sure. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. Really, really. It's I think that a lot of people need to switch their morning routine a lot. Like,
Right,
I
and
get.
to be honest, I really didn't have a morning routine like that a year ago, and it's crazy how it's just changed so much. Also, just with what you attract into your life, because you start your morning and your day with such clarity and focus and positivity within yourself that it's like it's hard to not attract more of that if you start your day off like that. Like,
For sure.
yeah, highly recommend it. Doesn't have to be my
Yeah.
routine, but find your own routine that can really set you up for winning in life, or just for the day.
I yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it makes a huge difference, and I have a lot of friends that just also the last year, including myself, has somehow managed to create, like, this is what makes me feel good. This is what is
So,
fruitful for me and
right,
not self-destructive, especially
right.
in the morning.
Yeah,
So for
it's building
sure,
those habits.
it is all what it is. And I feel super grateful. I feel like we have a lot more to talk about, but this was at least a start. And I always leave the microphone to my guests in this podcast in the end to say whatever. Is there any project we should look out for? Is there anyone you want to shout out? Wherever you want, the mic is yours.
Um, yeah, I mean, I'm teaching a lot online. I do these Zoom classes. Obviously, it's New York time, so right now in Europe, it might be a little late. But yeah, I teach every Monday and Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern time. Obviously, house, and it is very fundamental. We are building a lot regarding just working on foundations and steps and jack and movements and flow and combining everything. Um, so we have a lot of fun with that. And
Where's those classes? Where can people find them?
so you can find me on Instagram. I am Ivory, um, or on my Facebook, and I just post. I constantly post these flyers. But yeah, I always update. We sometimes have live DJs play while we're also training, so that's fun. But yeah, no, I mean, at the moment, I'm just getting back into, creative mode again, and I will be dropping some new projects soon, but, one at a time once the city starts opening up again. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I'm at the moment.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to say to the people out there, maybe dancers who wants to, like go for the dancing, even though whatever age you are in? Is there anything you want to say to these people?
I think it's just as long as you're having fun with it, there is no reason to stop. Like, if you're having fun with it, there's no way you can't win in whatever you're doing, you know? And there will be times where you don't feel it's so much fun. And that's where it really kicks in if you want to be professional or not, because even in times where you don't feel like training, you kind of do have to train if you really want to take it serious as a professional. But overall, as long as you're having fun with it, it doesn't matter what circumstances you come from, where you're at in the world, how old you are. Clearly, I mean, I'm 33, so, I started late. And I will say, it's amazing feeling it's kind of, okay, I'm silly right now, but when you play those games, those video games where your character levels up in whatever you get that feeling sometimes where it's like from one day to another, it's like, wow, I just feel like I got downloaded a whole new like level to my dance. And it's an amazing feeling when you put in all that energy and training into something that you're so in love with, and it starts to prosper and you start to see it blossom, and that just makes you want to work even harder. Um, so yeah, just keep going and
Yeah.
don't hold yourself back, because there are no rules. People think there are rules to it, but there's no rules. If you want to be a badass at what you're doing, that's on you. Do it.
Yeah. Yeah, for real. Wow, thank you so much for taking your time out in this New York morning. And yes, and I really wish you the best. I really hope New York is, getting safe, and that you guys can have some peace of mind soon enough. And I hope I will see you again when the world opens up, wherever it might be.
Please.
Yeah.
I'll that.
All right. Thank you so much.